It's the greatest first person shooter of all time that isn't Doom, Wolfenstein 3D, or Duke Nukem.
Bog Panda.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Bog Panda. I am Dr. Mike at Official Pagan on everything, and joining me, as always,
Hi, everybody. This is Kelly at KELLYTHUL on Twitter and Instagram. And if you get a moment, it would help us out a ton if you would consider subscribing to the channel, hitting like on a few videos, leaving us a comment, and maybe stroll over to our highly censored merch store and take a look at what few t-shirts we can get past the jackbooted thugs that run Teespring. Not that
the
I'm
real Clarence Thomas is over there.
Just you took the steam out of my rant. It just made it take a left turn. Oh, well.
Well, tonight, sir, we're here to talk about one of the greatest first-person shooters of all time that, if I understand correctly, you've never played.
I have not, and I believe we were talking before the show. I believe that something will verify, maybe even have a caption that verifies what the situation is. I think it's available on my Legends Ultimate, and I've not played it. Yep, there it is.
I would think that it is. It is on my mini, and it's the main reason when I switch from vertical to horizontal, it's to play it on an arcade cabinet, which is really cool because it was a console game, and that's actually why the game is famous. So this game was originally released on Sega Genesis. This was not a PC game, and it was kind of in response to PC gamers because you had so in movies in the 80s, there was a thing where third entries were released in 3D, like Jaws 3D, Amityville 3D. It was a thing for a while. They decided to carry that over to PC games, and the third Wolfenstein game was released as Wolfenstein 3D. And the same thing with Duke Nukem. The third Duke Nukem game, which had been side-scrolling action platformers, became a first-person shooter. And those versions of the games became so popular, that's what the games became, the franchises from that point forward. And then, of course, there's Doom, which, in my opinion, and the opinion of anyone who can put a game on absolutely anything, towers above all of those. It was really the feather in the cap for PC gaming. I remember being a kid and being mainly a console gamer, but PC gamers, the thing that they would hold over all the console kids was you don't have first-person shooters, because at least at that time, the belief was essentially you couldn't do it on the 16-bit consoles. There was first-person-esque elements to a couple of games. Maybe you get a first-person level or a third-person kind of thing, but even when you would get a first-person level or first-person sequence, it would run slow and very limited animation and characters on screen and things like that. So there was just no way in everybody's mind that you could have a fast-paced Doom-style first-person shooter on a console. So taking that as a challenge, the creators of Zero Tolerance decided that they were going to make one. It was going to be for Sega Genesis because Sega Genesis had their blast processing that they loomed over everybody else with. So for whatever reason, I'm not enough of a hardware guy to be able to explain it to you, but Sega had a much faster processor than their other 16-bit consoles at the time. So they were able to leverage this, and they figured out a way to make a Doom-style first-person shooter. And not only does it run fast and smooth, it is a really good game. And it built up quite the cult following over the years. I remember when it came out, I read video game magazines as a kid. And I remember video game like magazine editorials warning people that like your console is going to overheat. You're going to destroy your console. If this game even comes out and it plays, it's going to ruin your console the first time you play. Like there was just this can't exist was kind of the theory of it. And to be fair, because this is something that people nitpick nowadays, you know, a lot of the Doom ports had the bezels around them and things like that when they were ported to other systems. The window in this game, the HUD in this game is gigantic and takes up a big chunk of the screen. The actual window is maybe a third of the screen. your actually playfield window. That's the biggest drawback of the game. is that, but it is first person shooter for the whole game. It moves at a great frame rate. My console didn't melt ever playing it. So I know you're a first person shooter guy. When I sent you this, they announced they're doing a collection. Was it something that piqued your interest that you might want to play?
Yeah, I think first I need to check my legends out and kind of familiarize myself. So I think I can do that. Yep, there it is. But it did because it's going to be available on the Switch, PlayStation 4 and 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series XS. Did I miss anything? From Pico Software, right? Or the Pico's
Yes.
distributor. But so multiple platforms, but it seems like a good Switch game. Although I don't know if the actual play field is surrounded by a large HUD on a Switch, and since I have the poor man's light switch, I can't project it up to a TV, so I've got to play it exclusively on that screen. So that's I forget, like 4.5 or 5.2 inch screen on that, and so it might be a little bit tight. But I'm definitely interested in probably adding to my Switch collection, and this seems like a good one. I'll do a test drive a little bit on the Legends to make sure, but I'm highly confident that based on your endorsement that I'm going to enjoy it. And so I think it's a good candidate for the Switch for me.
Yeah, I mean it's a Doom clone, definitely, but it's a really good one. And it actually runs even better than a lot of, because after Wolfenstein and Doom, there was a million copycat first person shooters that flooded PCs. This runs better than most of those did at that time. Again, giant HUD, so you make a really good point with the Switch and the smaller screen. I'm not sure how that's going to look. Another interesting thing, two things that kind of really caught my attention about it though. This is called a collection. So for anybody who remembers Zero Tolerance, there's only one Zero Tolerance game. So the other games that are included on this are the unreleased sequel to Zero Tolerance. A build of that was leaked online some time ago. So a lot of hardcore Zero Tolerance fans have played it using emulators. I don't know what those are, but I hear they're a thing that outlaws out there use to play games, ROMs of games. We don't know anything about that here on this show. But a build of that game was leaked out. So apparently that full game, I guess, is going to be included, the unreleased sequel. And then there's going to be a prototype for a third Zero Tolerance that might be coming in the future. So I'm assuming they're calling a prototype. I don't know if that means it's a demo. Maybe it's a couple of levels. I'm not exactly sure what that includes. But you're getting the original Zero Tolerance, the technically unreleased sequel, and then this prototype for a third game. So that's what the collection is. So that's cool. The other thing, though, that kind of caught me and seems like a big miss for me is it's not on Steam, at least not from the initial announcement.
That does seem like a big miss. It would seem like a fantastic platform to have it on.
Now, one thing that is cool, though, there will be physical copies of this, including a Genesis copy of it. So I might break down and buy a Genesis cartridge of this collection, even just to have.
Yeah, I think
as a collector's thing. Yeah, since it was kind of an important thing. And of course, after Zero Tolerance came out, there were more first-person shooter elements that were forced into 16-bit games, and Super Nintendo couldn't be left behind. So they got a port of Wolfenstein 3D that they dramatically gutted, taking out any references to World War II or Nazis, which is weird in a World War II game where you're fighting Nazis. They also took out the dogs and replaced them with comically large rats. And it's not great. Like, people talk about it like it's the worst thing ever. It's not great, but it did give us Super Noah's Ark 3D because they licensed the game engine that was developed to fit Wolfenstein onto a Super Nintendo cartridge. And we got Super Noah's Ark 3D, where you run around essentially Wolfenstein 3D, but you are shooting food at animals to put them to sleep so that you can take them to the Ark.
Yeah, and after you mentioned that a few shows ago, I did seek it out on my Super Console X and played a couple levels of Noah's Ark 3D. Not gonna crack my top 10 of gameplay experience per se. But yeah, it is as advertised as you explained it.
That's exactly what it is. And it's exactly like Wolfenstein 3D on the Super Nintendo, except not Nazis replace the animals.
But they're still rats.
They're still rats. So.
We'll reuse a sprite. So there you go.
Cool. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. If you're a first person shooter fan, it's worth checking out. And you may already have it on your Legends. So I highly recommend it on that. It was super fun playing an arcade cabinet. Again, the main reason that I turn my monitor when I do is just to play some Zero Tolerance on an arcade cabinet.
Cool. Well, and if any of the folks watching are big zero tolerance fans, let us know. Let us know if you're planning to get it. And with that, I think we'll wrap it up. And thanks for watching, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.